Just wait and listen for the storm. You can hear the difference in the wind.
What you're looking at with this lens right here, this whole frame, is pretty astounding as far as lens technology goes. We've come so far in the past few years, and now we're at the point where we can shoot with an autofocus anamorphic lens. Right here, I'm monitoring the entire thing. I'm watching that eye box move around and track my face with no problems whatsoever. This is the Blazar 35mm T1.8 APS-C 1.33x squeeze anamorphic lens from their Apex series. Now, upon hearing it's APS-C, there's going to be two big questions that a lot of people are going to ask. The first one is there a full frame version? And if there's not, will this work on a full frame camera? And we will get into that because it's obviously going to be a hot topic. So autofocus wise, let's pick me up again there. Let's walk around to the edge. Let's just get as far as we can to the edge. So you see at the edge there, it does lose me a bit. Let's pick me back up again. Let's be a bit closer and get to the edge. See, as soon as you hit that edge there, it just disappears. I mean, I am going behind some stuff here. Let's go over this side. How far can we get? Oh, not really enough space. Let's get right to the edge over here. And we are using it right now on the FX3. If we zoom out from what the actual field of view is after I've zoomed in to eliminate the vignetting there, it's we're right at the edge of the frame on that side. Seems not to be as good on that side, but there we go. The autofocus is, it's fast. Now I don't have this set to the fastest transition speed. I think it's on 6 in terms of responsiveness and 5 in terms of transition speed. But you're watching my iPad screen, I'll probably put it on the screen for you to see, but like, it works very, very well for what it is. Now we can't just pretend that Blazar is the only company out there making autofocus anamorphic lens. Sirui does have a line. I believe there's another company as well, and more of these are going to start to hit the market. I'm sure a ton of them are using very similar designs and technology, but the thing I've noticed from the Sirui ones, from the videos that I've watched, I don't have any of those lenses. Sirui, if you want to send them through, please feel free. But what I've noticed is Sirui has gone with kind of the style that they have always gone with anamorphic lenses, and I've used some of theirs in the past, the manual focus ones, the non-autofocus ones, and they're more clinical. They don't really have the characteristics that the Blazar lenses have. Surui's obviously done a good job with the autofocus system. It does work well, but the bokeh in the background, the barrel distortion, it doesn't have the same look and feel that these Blazar lenses do. So if you want clinical and clean and almost like a weird look, I guess some of the bokeh, it does look very strange, then maybe go with the Sirui version. But if you're looking for more of an anamorphic style look, which I think if you are looking at these lenses, you probably are going down that rabbit hole, you want to stick with the Blazar in terms of getting the best anamorphic characteristics and look. So what about this lens is anamorphic about it? If you look at the background, the bokeh, you're getting some of that oval bokeh there, the characteristic of an anamorphic lens, where it's not circular, it's not some weird shape, it's that oval shape that people strive to get. And you're also getting that barrel distortion where, I'll show you some shots here which really demonstrate it very well. In the background, everything looks curved, like it looks round and like there's depth to it. It's called barrel distortion, and not everyone is going to be a fan of that. They're going to look at it and go, I do not like that. It doesn't look real, and I understand, I get it. That might not be, well, this might not be the lens for you. You might want to look at the Sirui lens instead, but this is a characteristic that you can somewhat fix in post if you want to, but I chose to leave it in there because it's a stylized choice. I want it to look like that. I really like the way that that looks, and I'm going to choose to use it and leave it in there. So if you want the anamorphic look, somewhat, with an autofocus lens, this is what you're going to be looking at. Quick little interruption. I've got something brand new to show you today from Artlist. Look at this. I asked it to design what I think the FX3 Mark II could look like, and it came up with this, and then it animated it into this video. I also asked it to make this still right here, which it did, and then asked it to animate it. This was made entirely with AI, and I added some grain and some halation to it. You can see what the potential is of using this, and this is just the beginning. It's only going to get better. Now to use it, it's very straightforward. On the left here, you have this AI
AI image and video. You click on that and you're given all of these styles to pick from in the catalog here. If you highlight over one of these, you see this little explore here. If you click on that, it loads up some examples. So the idea here is just to give you a little bit of inspiration. You're not looking for an exact match of what you're trying to create. Now I've actually been using ChatGPT to create a really good prompt, and then I put the prompt into here. So I've come up with this prompt here, which I'm going to paste in. Now you have a few options here. You have 16:9 portrait or square, and you can ask it to make either one image or up to 3, and we're going to generate it. So this is the image that it created here. I could just download that if I wanted to. That is the image that it created right there. Now let's animate it. So if we click up here, we have the option to animate. It'll now change to image to video. It will actually give me a suggested prompt, which is really nice as well. You can pick your duration, 5 or 10 seconds, and then the resolution, 720 or 1080. Now everything you're doing here in terms of creation is going to be using credits. It's going to cost me 500 here to animate this. So animate. It does tell you that it's going to take a few minutes. So that was the image, and this is the video it generated. Let's download it and look at it in a bit more detail. And that's what it made. The video and photo will only be as good as the prompt that you put in it, so it will take a little bit of practice to get things looking how you want. And if you're wondering about licensing, it's covered by the same Artlist license as everything else. All of their music, their sound effects, their stock footage, the AI voiceover. It's the same license. You can use it for commercial, you can use it for your own work. You're covered. To give this a go and try it out, there is a link down below. Now, in terms of focus breathing, I'll show you a demo right now. We'll get in close and far away, but there's one thing to point out here. Focus breathing, when it comes to anamorphic lenses and cinema lenses, is not really something people care about so much. You see focus breathing all the time in movies. We're not looking to get a perfect image here, so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, for the purpose of using this. But I'll show you how it looks and demo it. So let's get out of frame here, let it focus, and then we'll get back in frame here. So you're just looking at the edges, and we're looking to see how it focuses, or how quickly it focuses on me, and then if there's any focus breathing. Is it going to be able to focus on my hand there? My hand, back to my face. Is it moving around the edges? It's kind of hard to tell here because I am on the full frame here. I don't know. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I don't think it matters, in my opinion. So the biggest question I'm sure a lot of people are going to be skipping to, is there a full frame version of this lens? No, there isn't. Not yet. I'm sure Blazar is probably in the process of making something like that, and it'll blow everyone's minds when it does come out, but there isn't a full frame version. It's an APS-C lens, Super 35, but you can use it on your full frame camera, on your sensor. I am using it right now on the Sony FX3. I shot with it on the FX30 for the outdoor kind of sequence that we made, and then in the night stuff I needed nighttime performance, so I wanted to shoot with it on the FX3, and it was a good test for it as well. What happens is when you use an APS-C lens on a full frame sensor, basically what do we got here we can demo with this? I guess we'll use these things that are in my pack. I'm in the middle of packing right now. So let's say this is the sensor, and let's say this is the rear element here. You'll notice that the sensor is bigger than the rear element. So when you put, let's say this is the Blazar lens, when you put this on here, the sensor is picking up around the edges, like outside the rear element there. So you're getting, when we zoom out on this frame here so you can see, you're getting the curves around the edges. That's called vignetting. If you're using a full frame lens on a full frame sensor, the rear of this lens here, the rear element, would cover more than that sensor, and thus you wouldn't get these edges here. But you can work around this by cropping in post. So basically what you're going to be doing is the sensor, you're just going to use a part of the sensor, you're going to zoom in and you're removing the edges of the frame that the sensor's capturing, and then you're not getting those edges there. How much do you need to zoom in by to be able to not see the edges? 115 to 120% is what I found in my tests. Now that depends on the shot that you are using, your stylization choices as well. You might actually like some of that vignetting in there to go with the barrel distortion. It's not a bad look in some situations, especially if you have a dark frame. You might not be able to see, so you could use the whole thing. Now, you could use clear image zoom if you want to, but you're going to lose your autofocus performance in terms of eye autofocus, at least with the FX3. That might not be the same with other Sony cameras these days. I don't know. I haven't tested. I don't have anything newer other than the A7R5, but I think it's the same on that. You also can zoom in a little bit, crop in a little bit by using the active stabilization, which will give you like a 1.1x crop, so that's getting you to about 110%. Now, no, if you're using it handheld, sometimes with anamorphic lenses, you'll notice some like weird
warping in the corners and stuff, so try and stay clear of using active stabilization if you can. Let it look natural, handheld, or shoot on a gimbal if you need to. Or with one of these things, which are super handy as well. This is called this is the focus wrap, and it basically, you put it around your neck, and then the camera rests on here, and it's a really easy way to get stable, handheld footage if you wanted to. So minimum focus on this, right now I am, actually let's measure it. Oh, I can't, I'm gonna take measures at my other studio, at my podcast studio, but we can get in pretty close. It's not bad. Like I am about a foot, I'm not really in focus. It sees the eye box, but it doesn't look like I'm in focus. That looks more like I'm in focus. Now you can cheat the focus here if you wanted to with diopters, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is a very, very cheap set from Newer, but as soon as you add diopters, unless you're spending a lot of money, it's somewhat destroying the image quality anyway. So just get a cheap set if you need to do super close focus. Basically what these are like magnifying glasses. Magnifying glass that you screw onto the front of your lens. This is a close-up ×4. So we're just going to attach that to the lens. And now you'll see I can get a lot closer to the frame. Now, the autofocus box isn't working. I can see it's not working now. But if you need to get really close to be able to do whatever you want to do, this is a way that you can cheat the minimum focus at the loss of a little bit of image quality. Now this is a +10, big bulbous front element on there. It's gonna destroy your image quality and it's gonna look super funky, but if you needed to get like a super close, basically macro style shot, this is how you can do it. Look at this, it's ruined now, but look how close you can get. So that is how close you can get now, and I am maybe 15 centimeters from the front of the lens. So that's how you can cheat the system if you needed to, if you need to get super close up. Now there's something I figured out pretty quickly when I attached this lens to my FX30 to my FX3. And it showed us that this lens is ahead of its time in terms of where Sony is at anyway. You can de-squeeze on the FX3 and on the FX30 1.3x in the menus. As soon as you do that, it swaps to manual focus mode. There's no way to be in autofocus and have anamorphic de-squeeze turned on at the same time. So you kind of lose the ability that you bought the lens for in the first place if you want to be able to de-squeeze in camera. And I mean, that's not recording, that's not baking that into the file anyway. I wish you could, but you got to spend a lot of money and get like an RE to do that. You can't de-squeeze in camera, so you're not getting a realistic preview on the back of the screen of what it looks like. That being said, you can use, and we're going to have to reconnect here, monitor and control, which I did a whole video about very recently. You can watch up here. And that will allow you to, on the back of the camera, have the unsqueezed version, where in this case I can see all the edges. But then you can go into the actual app itself, and you can turn on, at the top here, you've got a tool section. You can turn on anamorphic de-squeeze and view it. So it's a viewing tool, basically. It's not happening on the back of the camera, it's just happening on my iPad right here. And you can see right here, if it's gonna pick it up, that I am de-squeezed on my iPad here. You can also use your phone with that app. So you're gonna need to use a monitor or an app to be able to actually frame up properly if you wanna de-squeeze, which is a pain. And I hope Sony fixes that in the future. Don't know if they will because it's very niche, but maybe. Now this is an autofocus lens, and if you try and use it manually, there's one thing to point out here. It is a focus by wire lens, which means it's probably going to suffer from some focus acceleration. So if you try and manually focus with this, because it's an autofocus lens and things aren't moving inside there, it's all focused by wire, which means it's electronic. It's not like a cinema lens where you turn it to one point and it's the exact same focus every single time you do that, and it's really easy to replicate manual focus pulls. It's going to be a lot harder to do that with this, and if you attach a focus motor to it and try and use it manually, like if you have the anamorphic de-squeeze turned on, you're going to have a rough go. This lens is really designed to be used in autofocus, not really in manual focus, in my opinion. This is a great lens. It's a lot of fun. I've used this for a ton of different talking head videos, and it's a lens that allows me to get a really nice, good looking image, anamorphic looking image, and not have to worry about making sure that I'm always in focus. I can get close and far away and walk around in frame and just shoot things that look really nice without having to worry too much. I'm not too sure when it's exactly going to be out. I'll pop a link below, and as soon as it's out, you'll be able to buy it from there. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you, Blazar, for sending this through. I love what you're doing. That's that. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.